Mia's Life. So if you're following me on my Instagram, I'm at Mia's Life Official, by the way. You guys already know that this video is coming. I'm going to be doing a period Q&A. I realized that I have not made a period video in literally so long. And even then, the last period video I made was on its own, and it had been a long time before that I'd actually made a period video. I know a few years ago I used to make them all the time and I really enjoyed making them, so I'm gonna try and bring some more period videos back. Do you guys feel excited about hashtag period puberty growing up for me? I don't know, I feel like these videos are fun, especially because periods especially are a bit of a taboo, so I think it's good to like be more open and start a conversation about it. Anyways guys, so let's get on to your first question. What's your most embarrassing period story? So I think we're gonna do a story which happened very recently actually. It all started at a sleepover. And this was my first ever sleepover with my friends. Since then we've had a few sleepovers together because luckily it didn't completely mess everything up. So I went to bed at the sleepover and I knew that my period, like before that, I knew that my period was coming soon, but like I wasn't really thinking about it. Until I wake up in the middle of the night and I cannot go back to sleep. Now in my friend's room, she has like a light on her TV, so I thought maybe because I'm used to like sleeping in a very dark room and I feel like I really need the dark for me to be able to sleep properly, so I thought that was why I woke up. Except I could not get back to sleep and my stomach felt just funny. Like when I have my period, sometimes it doesn't necessarily hurt, but it just feels weird. Like it feels sort of swirly. That's the only way to describe it. So I was having that and I laid there for maybe 10 minutes trying to get back to sleep and I could not. So I checked my phone and see that it's 3 a.m. Perfect time to wake up in the middle of the night. I go to the toilet and sure enough, I've started my period. Luckily, I think I literally started my period at 3 a.m. when I woke up. So I literally woke, like starting my period somehow managed to make me wake myself up so I didn't ruin her bed. I literally just started my period, so that was lucky. Thank you, body, for waking me up at 3 a.m. even though it was kind of annoying. But now I had a slight issue because my friend's asleep and she hasn't actually started her periods yet. So I know that she doesn't like have any period products in her drawer or anything like that. We're neighbors, so if it had been like a normal time, I could have gone to my house. But 3 a.m. is kind of a weird time to go walking around on the street and go into my house. Like my parents would be terrified if they hear someone coming in the house at 3 a.m. So I didn't really know what to do because I wanted to get my period pants. So then I end up waking my friend up at 3 a.m. and telling her that I've started my period. And so we try and find some period products. We end up looking in her mum's purse and she finds me a tampon. So yeah, then that is not the end of the story though. This is like the beginning bit, which actually isn't all that embarrassing. The embarrassing part happens the next day. We go to the beach, me and my friend with her parents. I am super excited, having fun. I did feel a bit weird because obviously it's my period, so I'm having to use a tampon and I don't use tampons that often, so it just kind of felt like a bit like I'm not that comfortable. So what happens is I go to the bathrooms at the beach and I get into my bikini, I put my tampon and I walk out from the bathroom toilets. For some reason I feel like this weird like self-consciousness because I'm in my bikini, which is not like normally I'm okay with it, and my friend was in her bikini, like it's at the right next to the beach, like everyone's in their bikinis, but for some reason I just felt like this weird feeling like I really wanted to wrap a towel around me. So I do it. I don't know why I had this feeling, but I feel like it was some sort of premonition because later on, we get to the beach and her parents are sitting there and I take my towel off and then my friend's mum, so they're from France, so they speak in French to each other. So my friend's mum like tells my friend to like come here and then she like whispers something to her in French. I'm like, okay, what is this about? Her mum pulls me closer and then whispers to me, your tampon string is hanging out. So I'm really, at that moment, I'm like so grateful and embarrassed at the same time that I felt like wrapping the towel around me. I mean, I was walking around still a little bit with my tampon string hanging out, which was quite embarrassing. So yeah, then I just wrapped the towel around me and sorted myself out, and let's just say I did feel a little bit self-conscious at the beach because it was just like a bit, like the whole period weekend, like I call that the period sleepover because that was probably the most embarrassing period story I have. Do tampons hurt? So if they're used correctly, no, but if they're used incorrectly, they can feel a little bit uncomfortable. The first few times I used a tampon did feel a bit uncomfortable because I wasn't using it correctly. I didn't push it up far enough. When you first put it in, you can sort of like feel it, but then like after maybe like 5 minutes, you completely forget about it and it feels like you're not even on your period. So that is one of the benefits to tampons, is that you can basically forget for about like 5 to 8 hours. Ashley asked me, how long does your period last? So for me, it tends to last about 3-4 days where it's like actually a period. And then the last few days I have like a tiny bit of period left. But it's not really like anything that would even be enough to wear a pad, so it's sort of like annoying. But yeah, it varies. And like when I first started, it was super heavy and then it went super light. Like when my body was getting used to having a period, then it like kept changing. Now that I've had my period for 4 years, which is weird to say that I've had my period for 4 years, now my period tends to last about 4 days. Do I use reusable pads? If so, are they easy to use and are they comfy? Yes, I do use pads. Yes, they are really easy to use. And yes, they are very, very comfy. They're probably the most comfortable things I've ever tried. At the moment, I actually use reusable period pants, which is basically like a reusable pad, except it's like built into the pant as well, which makes it even more comfortable because there's no like having to ever like move around your pad if you're wearing like a dress. Sometimes like I feel like when I'm on my period and I'm wearing a pad, I feel like I have to wear like shorts or trousers or something to keep it all in place. But with period pants, literally you can be as free as a bird. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yes, they're very, very comfortable and I definitely recommend them. How old were you when you first developed armpit hair? So the weird thing is I can't really remember the first time I noticed that I had armpit hair. I don't think it was something that I really like noticed. I think it must have, so I started puberty when I was about 10. So it must have been around about then, maybe like 10, 11, maybe 12. Probably somewhere around that age. I just remember when I got to about 13, then I had like a full bush of armpit hair by that age. And then I decided that I wanted to start shaving. But before that, I can't really remember the process of like having a few hairs and then having more and then having more. Like I can't really remember the progression of the growth. Why are so many people afraid of tampons? Now this is actually a really good question. To be honest, I think the main thing is that it's very intimate and it can kind of feel scary. Like I understand, like when I first started using tampons, I was scared to use them. And I think it's just because like it's kind of very unknown and then also it's not really like spoken about a lot. You don't really want to ever talk about it or anything. So then because it's not spoken about, it's not like something which you're used to hearing. It's just like a completely new experience. So I think that's why. But to be honest, I'm not sure. Could you guys go comment on my Instagram why you think there may be some like scariness surrounded around tampons? I mean, there's probably multiple factors. When do you recommend to start using tampons? Now this is very personal and it depends completely. I know some women don't use tampons till like 20 years after they've started their period or something. It's just completely up to you. For me, I think I started using tampons maybe like 6 months after I started my period. Yeah, I think I was 12 and maybe I was 13 and I started my period when I was 12. So around about like 6 months after I started my period, I definitely recommend waiting a little bit after you've started your period just to know your flow and know your cycle. So then you can like know what sort of absorbency you need to use, how long you're gonna need to leave it in for, if you're gonna need to change it quite regularly, or if you can leave it in for maybe like 6 hours, like it depends. I would probably say like at least wait 6 months after you've started your period and maybe wait until it's like an occasion where you really feel like if you weren't to use tampons, you'd be holding yourself back. Like for me, it was because we went on holiday and I wanted to swim. So maybe if it's like a sport or something like that, maybe that could be like the drive for you to start using tampons, but it's completely up to you. And it also probably depends on like what your family use as well. Like all the females in your family, if they all use tampons all the time, then you're probably gonna feel more inclined. If they only use pads, you're probably gonna be more inclined to only use pads. Do I talk about it a lot with my sister? By the way, I'm a big fan. Can I please have a shout out? So here's your shout out, jcrafty23. And thank you for always supporting me. So I do actually talk about it a lot with Sienna sometimes. and so does mom. Like we've told her, you know, maybe in like some good years, you're gonna start puberty and you're gonna start your periods and stuff. So she knows what's coming up, but I know that she definitely isn't ready, and it's probably not gonna be something soon for her for a long time because she doesn't feel like ready for it. When I was like 10, 11, I kind of felt ready for it. So I think that's why I did start. Yeah, I do speak to her about it, but I don't think, she's not like grossed out by periods, but she doesn't like the idea of her having a period, which is understandable. Mia Corbs, this is a juicy one. Can your family tell when you're on your period? Yes, they can. So I feel like every time I'm PMSing, like a week before my period, I'm gonna be having some sort of meltdown, acting really weird, acting super sensitive, acting super moody. Normally it's my mum. And then my dad will be like,
oh yeah, that must be why, that explains it.
And normally they are correct. That is why I'm feeling weird. I mean, it's kind of nice to know. In the moment, it annoys me more because I'm being so sensitive, but then when I reflect back on it, I'm kind of glad that they know that, other than just like thinking that that is just me. Do you think about trying the menstrual cup? Actually, that's something I would really like to try. I feel a little bit scared to try it though, just because it looks quite big. So I'm not really sure about it, but if you guys could comment on my Instagram, like some tips, if I should try it, if you've tried it, if it's good, like what you guys think of it. And then yeah, I'll probably make a video about my experience of trying it, because I think it's good to try out all different products, because otherwise you can get like stuck in a rut of just trying like just pads, and then you kind of like limit yourself to all of the possibilities. What to do if you're going in the pool and you don't use tampons. So actually this is another period product that I really want to try, and it's period swimwear. It's by the same brand that does my period pants, Modi Body, also do period swimwear. So I'd really like to try that, and I guess that's what you could use. And I'm not really sure if there are other products other than that. I feel like it's just more like other tampon alternatives, and I feel like out of all of them, tampons are probably the easiest and most accessible. So like if you don't want to use tampons, you probably wouldn't want to use like a menstrual cup or something like that. I'm scared I'm gonna come on in school without knowing. What can I do? Okay, so if you feel like you may be having signs that you might start your period soon, if you wear like a school skirt, maybe get some like black cycling shorts. If you do start your period, like I feel like you can normally tell, I don't know. Like you probably go to the toilet like at least once or twice a day. So you'll probably notice then, and if you wear black cycling shorts, that adds like another layer of fabric for it to not go everywhere, and that will probably help give you some more protection. And if you wear trousers, maybe you could wear cycling shorts underneath the trousers as well, or your period won't be that heavy, especially for your first one. Like for most people, like if it goes a few hours, like not, at least for me anyways, like if I'm wearing like dark colored trousers, you won't see it. Like if I'm wearing jeans and it's a few hours and I've started my period and I don't realize, like you can't tell from the outside. It's not like everywhere blood's running down your legs or something like that. Like that's never happened to me. Maybe if you have a heavier period, it might happen to you, but for your first period, it'll probably be very, very light and not that big of a deal. So yeah. I haven't had it yet. Does it hurt at all? Love you and your family so, so much. Ah, thank you, Gracie. A lot of you guys have actually asked me this question. So the period itself, like the blood coming out, doesn't hurt. To be honest, you can't really feel it. If you do feel anything, it just kind of feels like you're weeing yourself in like a weird way. The only thing which can hurt about your period is, so you've got to think about what your womb is doing to get the blood out, and it's actually like twisting itself. So sometimes you don't feel it. Sometimes for me, it just feels like a swirly sensation, like sort of, not like it's like painful, but sort of like I've got a bit of an upset stomach, but like lower down on my stomach, not here. So you can feel that, or it can hurt like when it's doing the twisty motion in your stomach, like that can give you cramps, but the period blood coming out itself doesn't hurt, no. So Miracons, I hope that you found this video helpful. Let me know over on my Instagram if you'd like me to make more videos like this one, and what sort of videos you'd like me to, like what sort of topics would you like me to talk about in the future. Anyways guys, I love you, bye!